Hey, Dr. Gary, how's it going?
Hey, David, excellent.
Thanks so
Near
much.
perfect.
Thanks so much for doing this. So where are you at the moment?
I'm in my office in Costambar, which is a part of Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So you don't sound Dominican, but so where are you originally from? Where were you born?
You're right, I'm not Dominican, but I'm from New York and I practiced there for many years.
Awesome. And then what got you started in chiropractic?
It's interesting because I was supposed to go to medical school and I had already got accepted in medical school in my junior year of college on Long Island. And I was also a cabinet maker and carpenter.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was doing a job and I really hurt my back. And I was the perfect pre-med guy too, because I worked in the hospital, I worked in the emergency room, I was an EMT, all those things that you need to do to get into medical school. Although I enjoyed all those things. But when I hurt my back, the people I knew, the orthopedists, the medical doctors, they all had the same answer: muscle relaxants and pain pills. And I did that because that seemed like the right thing to do, but it didn't help. And so my friend who was a dentist, she said to me, she says, "No, you need to go see a chiropractor." I go, "Chiropractor? Really?" Says, "I'll do anything." So she said, "Go up the street over there. There's a guy who used to teach at the New York Chiropractic College. He's retired. Go bang on his door." So I went up the block. I banged on his door. He said, "Come on in." And he had a table in his house. He was an older gentleman in the 70s. He said, I explained what it was real quickly. He didn't really need to hear much. He said, "Lay down." He felt my back and he gave me that adjustment. And it was like an explosion in my back, in my mid back. And I'm like, I got up and I'm like, wow. I was like 90% better instantly. And so where I was in college was on Long Island, and across the street was the chiropractic school at that time, because they've moved since then. But it was across the street. So I started going to the clinic at the chiropractic school to get adjusted because I was studying all the time. I was still in school. And then basically one day I said, I was a vegetarian and a runner at the time. Don't do either of those now, but I did that at the time. And I wasn't into medications. I didn't really want to become a medical doctor. I wanted to become a surgeon and use my hands. As a carpenter, I was always fixing things and using my hands and building things. But I said, it's going to take me 12 years to become a surgeon. And I could go become a chiropractor in 4 and start using my hands right away. So that's what happened. I went across the street. I said, I'm already accepted in medical school. They said, you have everything. When do you want to start? And so I took 6 months off. I graduated college. I took 6 months off to sell my cabinet factory, sold that, and I started school in New York, and then eventually changed schools down to Life in Georgia.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what era were you at Life University?
From 1980
Okay.
to 86.
And then so 1980 90 to 86. Obviously, the founder of the school was still around.
Oh yeah, Dr. Sid, I would meet with him all the time, go to his office. I was going to DE. We had assembly every week with Dr. Sid. What's funny, at that time, you didn't really appreciate him until later, until you graduated. You
Right.
didn't appreciate because it was just another thing you had to do, go to his assembly. But a lot of the things that he talked about in assembly and DB and DE is actually the things that shaped what kind of chiropractor I became. So I have to give him credit for that and DE for that, because it was really a significant start in my life in
And,
chiropractic.
and then did you hear about Life University, or what made you do the change down there?
I was going to New York. I did 2 trimesters and it was a summer break. And I don't know, I challenged the professors constantly to explain what the hell was going on.
Sure.
And they had a hard time giving me the right answer. So I was fighting all the time. So I was on a summer break with a friend, took a drive up to Canada and Cape Cod and everywhere. And I just had it in my mind. I heard about Life. Now, Life at that time was just trailers. It wasn't a building, it was trailers. I think there was a clinic building. but all the courses, most of them were in trailers. And so I said, you know what? I got a couple of weeks left of vacation time. Let me drive down to Georgia. So I drove down to Georgia and I went in and I met somebody there, a friend of a friend. I stayed with them. They showed me around and I was like, this is where I want to be. This is the right vibe for me. And I went back home, drove home, loaded up my trailer, my motorcycle, all my clothes and stuff, and drove back down and just found an apartment and just started. And I went to school.
And then, so your comment is so funny about Dr. Sid, which was in regards to, it reminds me of this comment of, as we get older, our parents become wiser.
Yeah, sure.
So for those who don't really know who Dr. Sid Williams was, what do you think made him so dynamic?
Dr. Sid had a very strong, deep belief in what chiropractic is. And there was no bending that. He had what he called a made-up mind. Mm-hmm. And people that are listening to this that are from that era know exactly what I'm talking about. Once you meet somebody and they have a made-up mind about anything, you're not changing their mind. And you might as well give up because they've got a made-up mind. He had a made-up mind about chiropractic, but he also had the experience of many offices treating many people in the South, in the Georgia area, South Georgia. And he was well known for being this preacher in a way for chiropractic. He was kind of like an evangelical preacher for chiropractic, is the way I would call it. And he was charismatic. He knew how to hold your attention. And he taught that to the students. He wanted them to be able to take chiropractic to the next level and reach the public in greater and greater numbers by using those principles.
If we were one of those fancy podcasts, I would break away and pull up a video of Sid, but there's several videos on YouTube that people can easily search up and get a little bit of a taste of how made up mind that Dr. Sid was, for sure. So does that mean that you attended DE or okay?
Yeah, when we got out of school, during school, we went to DE as students. When we got out of school, I'd say in the beginning, the first few years, I went regularly. And actually, this is where I met a lot of my lifelong chiropractic friends, people of like mind. You gravitate towards each other. And you don't need a lot of friends in life, but you need good friends. And these people were people that I've been friends with for all these years, 40 years since I graduated almost. And even though we don't talk a lot now, I could count on them and they know they could always call and count on me.
Yeah, from the moment I met you, I always knew that you were special. You were very, very caring and obviously very knowledgeable. When you, in a lot of different areas of chiropractic, do you feel like, did that start at life, or at what point did you become this lifelong student of always learning and growing and perfecting your craft?
I think first quarter, certainly by third quarter when I went to Life. By the time I got to Life, even my first semester there, so pretty much my third quarter of school, I was already taking seminars to learn how to adjust. We weren't even taught really much of that yet in school. And I actually was adjusting people in the public for money. I'd go to Buckhead in the rich area and I'd adjust people and saw miracles happen. And I think the difference that I've recognized in my career and other people's careers in chiropractic is if you've had those good experiences of seeing miracles happen, and I've got many stories of what other people would consider miracles, you realize the power of the adjustment. And the people that say went to a different type of school, and maybe that wasn't emphasized, subluxation wasn't emphasized, and they didn't have that experience, they went down a different path. But when you see things in your own hands, with your own eyes, from an adjustment, making that kind of a difference in someone's state instantly, certainly chiropractic helps over time as well. But when you see it instantly, you can't deny what's going on. And so many people, I think, from that era, that's what drove them, is the real experience.
And then, so you're going to chiropractic school, you're attending a ton of seminars, you're going to DE, and then you finally graduate from life. And then what did you end up doing next out of school?
I ended up marrying one of my best friends that I went to school with.
Okay.
And we studied together, and we both took the boards in New York. We were both from New York. So I ended up getting out of school and getting licensed right away. And then I took a job with somebody in Brooklyn
Okay.
for 9 months. I was at that time, I was doing Donnie Epstein's work. And he introduced me to someone, but he was using his office in Brooklyn. So 3 days a week I worked there. And the other 3 days a week, I found someone I knew from school. He had a practice in the city in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. So he let me rent a room from him, and I bought a table. I put it in there, and I built my practice basically on those 3 days a week. So I had some income. I think he paid me $100 a day. And then I had my own practice, a cash practice, just adjusting people, and in Manhattan. So I was in New York City really all those years.
Gotcha. And one of the things that I remember about you is that you specialize in different areas within chiropractic. And at what point in practice did you go, okay, hey, I really want to kind of niche down and start really specializing in different techniques?
It took me a while. What happened was after doing network, then I took a seminar in CBP, and I went through all the training with Harrison, and so I had a CBP practice with the extension traction. We opened the first open office in Manhattan, I believe, after modeling it after Gambale and DeGeorge in Boston. I went up there to see what they were doing, and I said, oh, this is what I want to do. So we had open office, open adjusting, which was cool. And so I did CBP for a long time. It was very good for me because it was you could see, it made sense. Reverse image. The person's this way, you reverse their image, adjust them, and they change. And so the whole idea of mirror image adjusting fit me because I'm very kind of mechanical minded in that way, being a builder. So it fit really well for me. And I did that for a long time. I'd say maybe 10, 15 years. Had a very good open adjusting CBP type practice. Those guys are super dedicated to their mission. Dean Harrison now he was working with his father the whole time. Right. But when he got out of school, he really took on all the research and everything. And he's doing great work and training a lot of chiropractors, I know. But so there I specialized. But I also looked at other things. And it was one of my good friends who was established, very successful. And he said, at one point he said, Gary, you're like all over the place. He said, because then I was involved with nutrition. I was involved with this, and I was jumping all around. And I just basically followed what I thought was cool to do. But he really helped me. He just said, listen, you need to focus. Pick one thing and stick with that one thing. And I think that's really helped me stay focused. And so it's not that I wouldn't explore. It wasn't that I wasn't taking seminars. I wouldn't go to a seminar, though, and come back the next day and change the whole practice.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And because the practice would just go away and I have to start all over. Right. So I learned the hard way. Do pilot studies. You want to try something new, pick a couple people, try something new, see how it goes. Don't change your whole practice just because you went to a seminar. It's just not good business, first of all.
Yeah, patients like stability. It's not like McDonald's has the greatest burger in the world, but people know what they're going to get when they go there.
What it is, you attract.
Right.
You attract people to who you are at that moment. If you're a full spine diversified adjuster, you're going to attract people that fit into that model. Right. If you're an upper cervical doctor, you're going to attract people that are only going to be getting and expecting that Atlas adjustment, because that's what you're going to emote. You're going to educate from where your beliefs are. And so that's the key thing. Just whatever it is, you probably believe really strongly in it, but the group of people that were attracted to you previously were attracted to the old you. They may not follow. Some will follow you because they just love you, and they'll say, he's growing and I'm going to grow with him. But other people, they want to get out of pain, they want to this, that, and everything. They may not hang in there, and you have to rebuild your practice space. So be careful. That's the lesson there. Be careful.
I might have fallen into that trap before.
I think everybody does at some point.
Maybe just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, I know.
And then
It's easy too. It's shiny. The grass always seems greener on the other side.
But we're not interviewing me today. We're interviewing you, Dr.
Oh, okay.
So after your friend, your colleague just really poured into you and in a concerned way in regards to saying, hey, you should really focus. At that moment, in what direction did you feel like you started honing in on?
I think around that time is when I had this little girl come into the practice. She was 13 and she had scoliosis. And somehow somebody referred her to me because of the CBP, thinking I'd be looking at her structurally like that. But they had been to this guy in the South who had a whole protocol and made her this hard brace. But he had a whole chiropractic protocol too, using flexion distraction, using muscle stimulation, things I wasn't using prior, but it was part of his scoliosis program. So they said, can you help her? She's got a severe curve. She was a ballet dancer and at a very high level. And so I said, let me look into this. So I saw they had a whole manual from this guy in the South. Just lost you. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
I don't know why I lost you. Let me just see something.
You should be okay. It may be just a little bit of a lag on the internet, but I still see you, and as long as you can still hear me, that's fine. And you look okay. Yep.
Let me just click on this, see what happens. Nothing. Are you still there?
Yep.
All right. Anyway, it was nice looking at you, though. Let me say, you're not there. All right. Anyway, I'm looking at a Microsoft screen now. That's nice. So basically, I went and called this guy in the South, and I flew right down. And he had a seminar. I took the seminar and learned about scoliosis first from him, and also how to make these braces. And I just put up a website about that, and I was getting just so many people coming for that. So really, it's nice to see you.
Yeah. I think your internet.
I got you back.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay,
back.
cool. Okay, good.
So anyway, I really got into it. It was something about it. Scoliosis to me, it was mechanical. It was me using my hands to make braces. It was exercise protocols. And that's how I got started initially. At that time, I started a nonprofit foundation, actually, for scoliosis, called the Scoliosis Care Foundation. And that's kind of where my focus stayed. Everything had to align with scoliosis at that point. Whatever courses, whatever I did, whatever equipment I bought, it all aligned with the goal of helping as many people with scoliosis and helping these children avoid the surgeries. Because what was happening is they were coming to me and saying, we're scheduled for scoliosis surgery. Can you help? We really want to try anything we can to avoid. It's a big surgery. And so we did. So it just evolved. I met up with Mark Lamantia and a Carrick neuro program in Connecticut. So he was finishing his diplomate in functional neurology. I had just started, but so I asked him to help do vestibular testing on these children because we felt there was a vestibular component to the scoliosis. So he started doing that. And we decided to partner up. So we became partners in scoliosis systems, is what it's called. And Mark is still heavily involved with scoliosis bracing and treatment all over the world. He even comes down here to the DR and does different vestibular testing. He's really good at that stuff.
For people that don't know what vestibular testing is, what is that exactly?
The vestibular system is part of the brain that controls your balance. But if you think about it, what is balance? When we stand up, we have muscles on controlling how we stand. And that comes from information from your eyes and from your inner ear, plus a lot of proprioception all around your body is feeding in where straight is supposed to be for you,
Right.
how to go back to straight when you move. This is a very big part of this. The vestibular system is controlling this. So if you have some problems, the right side or the left side, you may be having this imbalance in your musculature, in your spine as well, allowing the scoliosis to progress. The big thing with scoliosis is the progression. And so the idea was if we could catch it early enough and address it from different approaches, the vestibular approach, the bracing approach, the exercise approach, the adjusting approach, making sure their spine was well adjusted, especially their atlas. Because when the atlas is out of alignment, the rest of the spine follows under it and compensates. So we end up with tremendous compensations in our body. But if you're genetically predisposed to developing scoliosis, that really works against you and accelerates or makes the curve much worse.
Right. Yeah. And most people, if you're non-chiropractic or not in the chiropractic profession, and with traditional chiropractic as well too, that there's a saying where it's structure leads to function. And it's not necessarily just all about pain and relieving someone's neck pain, back pain, and headaches, which chiropractic does an amazing job as well too. But just being out of bounds like that really puts a detriment to someone's quality of life.
You know, these kids, let me give you a little reference. Mark and I have treated over 10,000 scoliosis cases. And I'd say half of them are children and half of them are adults. And the kids aren't in pain. They just have a deformity developing. Very few of them were actually in pain. The adults, though, what drives adults for treatment is the pain. Because they have osteoarthritis, they've got a lot of stuff going on and inflammation from the scoliosis, which could have been from when they were a youth and they developed all through their life, or it came on later in life as an adult scoliosis. But anyway, so it's true. It's chiropractic to me was never about the pain. And that's what we were taught at life. It was about clearing the person, getting them to just being the tool to make the adjustment, to remove the interference so the body could do the healing. We did not do the healing. Clearly, we're not that smart. Clearly, all right, I take that back. Clearly, I'm not that smart to be the one to do the healing. Maybe some other people are. I don't want to take that away from them. But I'm not that smart. I'm happy. I'm very content with being the guy to make the adjustment and let the body do whatever it's got to do. And sometimes it does things that you think are bad, but it's really not. How do we rate it? Go ahead.
Yeah. So your partner wasn't the only one that's traveling the world. I remember you traveling all over. Where was a place that you traveled to that you never thought that you would ever go to or travel to?
That's funny that you asked that question.
Hey, I'm good at this.
It was Saudi Arabia and Dubai.
Right. That's right.
And the Saudi story is actually interesting because it started with a phone call of somebody who was referred to me from a clinic in England.
Okay.
That this Saudi guy went to. So he went to this clinic called SOS, very good clinic for scoliosis. And they do what's called the Schroth exercise program, and which is from Germany. That's something else. We went to Germany to train with that. And that's the program that we still use. But so anyway, so this guy calls me and he says, I was referred to you. I've got a 70-something degree curve in my back. I've been in pain all the time. I don't know what to do. I don't know if they should operate. Can you see me? And he was from Saudi. And I go, yeah, sure. Meet me, because at that time we were going to 19 different cities in the United States to see scoliosis patients, Mark and I. So I said, meet me in California. I'll be there in 2 weeks. Meet me there and I'll see what I can do for you. So I went there. And before I even got there, I told him, go to this chiropractor. I want her to adjust your atlas. Get adjusted before I get there. So he did that. I get there, I evaluate him, and I make a brace for him, and I do some other treatments with him. And basically what happens, he said that I'm out of pain. And he says, I don't understand it. He says, you need to come to Saudi. I go, yeah, a Jew from New York going to Saudi. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. But I said, I humored him. I said, yeah. He said, no, you don't understand. My family owns 8 orthopedic hospitals in the Middle East.
Oh my gosh.
And my uncle is the most famous orthopedist in Saudi and the Middle East. I said, okay, schedule me 20 new patients with scoliosis and we'll come out. Figuring that wasn't going to happen. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Okay, we're ready. And so he just contacted his orthopedic department, his physical therapy department. Let's talk to the scoliosis patients. We don't know what to do with them anyway. So let's see if they want to see this guy from the States. And basically, that's how it started with me going to Saudi. Mark and I and another doctor, Dr. Nardi from Alaska, he came with us. He was just out of school. Great guy. We all went to Saudi, to Jeddah, and they picked us up in a little entourage, and we stayed in this nice 5-star hotel. And but once I started working with somebody, bracing and all that, I had to see them every 3 months. So that meant I had to go back every 3 months. So every 3 months, they had a whole new group of patients for us. And so I became a fixture there. I did that every 12 weeks for, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years. There was a lot of trips to Saudi. But then one of my good friends, Todd Cahill, who taught me Atlas Orthogonal with Sweat in Georgia, he had opened up a practice in Dubai. So since I'm in Saudi already, he said, why don't you come to Dubai? I got patients that you need to see. So then every time I went to Saudi, I went to Dubai. So I went to Dubai every 12 weeks also. And I got licensed there. I actually went through the whole process, got a chiropractic license there. And so I was seeing patients in Dubai and Saudi for many years. And it was a great experience for many years doing all that.
For those that have never practiced chiropractic outside of the United States, what was it like first in Saudi and then in Dubai?
It's interesting. In Saudi, I worked in a hospital, and it's called the Saudi German Hospital. So here I am, Dr. Deutchman, German name. So they just assumed I was part of the German group of doctors. But they were the nicest people in Saudi, the most friendly people. A lot of the people there were from Egypt, actually, as well, and from the Philippines as well. All the nurses and PTs were Filipino.
That's fun. That's so funny. Like even in Saudi Arabia, the Filipinos are nurses. That's amazing.
They're very into healthcare, and I guess they don't have a lot of opportunity in the Philippines. Right. So they go live in these compounds in these other countries and send money home to the families at home.
That's great.
It's sad in a way because I wasn't brought up that way, but they may not see their family for years. Right. But they're sending money home. But anyway, they were very open. They treated me like royalty. Actually, I moved. They actually gave me the royal suite in the hospital to treat the patients. Wow. So this is a floor in the hospital where whenever the royalty got sick, they would go. Okay. They gave me one of those. It's like a whole apartment with a kitchen, with everything. And so that's where I treated them. But I had full access to the X-ray department. And they had beautiful Siemens and GE equipment hanging from the ceilings, modern stuff. I walked in there like I owned the place, and they loved it. And we saw a lot of people there, helped a lot of kids and adults there.
Yeah, all I know is that Saudi Arabia has a lot of amusement parks now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so there's a Japanese anime called Dragon Ball Z that opened it there, and then there's also, I believe, like a Six Flags in Saudi Arabia as well too. One of these days, I would travel out there just for that.
Yeah, things have changed there. It wasn't easy when I went there. Originally, you had to be invited to go. There was no tourism. If you were Muslim, you could get into the country for different holidays and different things, and it was a very interesting experience going there, especially during holidays, because people came on these Meccas from all over the world to go to Medina and to go to Mecca. And so it was really quite the experience. Dubai, on the other hand, was a complete different experience, because Dubai was like the international city of the world, where everybody was there. Maybe only 5% of Dubai was people from Dubai. 95% were from everywhere else. Germany, Russia, a lot of Russians, a lot of and the construction and everything over there was insane. So it was fun going to Dubai and doing all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so are we coming up to the portion where like you and I meet? I think because I think you were flying a little bit, a lot.
2010, okay, there was an earthquake in Haiti. And the earthquake in Haiti was one of the most catastrophic disasters the world has known. 300,000+ people died in minutes. And Pete Morgan was doing mission trips before that happened. And he actually happened to be there a few days before the earthquake, and then gathered money, gathered people, and went back to Haiti in a matter of days and did some amazing things, establishing connections, establishing a little orphanage on site. And so he was driven. He had a made up mind. Nothing was going to get in the way of him helping as many people as he could. So later what happened, the whole orphanage thing, Port-au-Prince was a mess. So it was a disaster area. You were there, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. I think I went on the second one.
Okay. So then what happened was things got shifted to the North Coast.
Right.
Where he asked me and Steve Simonetti, a good friend of mine and his as well, if we would come with him to Haiti. And we're like, we're really busy with our practices and everything else, but he kept asking us. And we eventually said, okay, we'll go. So Steve and I flew down to Puerto Plata, and we went with Pete and a bunch of other students and maybe some doctors too. And we took a bus over into Wanamint, which is on the north coast of Haiti, about 3 hours from Puerto Plata. So we went in there, and that's where he knew people and had some children that would move from Port-au-Prince, where the earthquake was, up to the north. And so basically, that's how I got started with, at that time, this Mission Life International. And so that was a great experience. We got to hundreds of thousands of students came, a lot of doctors came, and basically we got a chance to teach, we got a chance to adjust. Lots of people, and it was really a great experience to help. The projects are still going on. That started then. Now they're much more developed. In Wanamint, we have, in the North Coast, we have 2 campuses. One that's in Wanamint, which has an orphanage, has a birthing center, has a store, has a whole bunch of stuff over there. Then another site in Malfatti, which is not that far away. We built a church, a school, and a little store. And we just put solar on all the buildings.
Oh, wow.
Because they have not had electricity in over 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Imagine having no electricity, period, for 3 years. Mm-hmm. So even charging your phone is a process. So we just took some donations. Our company here in the Dominican donated a lot of money. Steve Simonetti also. There's been constant donations. Pete Morgan, a lot of people were involved in this process. Henry Rosenblum, I remember. There was just a lot of people. Those are the names that pop in my head instantly. But a lot of people had a good vision on what we wanted to do to create this safe environment for as many children as we could. And so in Malfatti, we have about 150 children getting educated that were not in school. They had no school in their village area. But then now we pay the teachers. We have a beautiful building we built for them. So a lot of good stuff. And that's where I met you, obviously, many times, because you also were driven to help as much as you could and come down there. And even though I haven't seen you there, and I haven't been there either. First of all, nobody could go into Haiti now. The border's closed. They haven't had a president in a while and got murdered. So the country's crazy. And the Dominicans are crazy with the Haitians. It's all really bad right now in terms of that. So you can't even go across the border. But we still support them. We send money, and we are able to bring some stuff, donations to the border, and they can come across at certain times and pick them up. So we're still very involved over there.
And then, so you were going down with the mission trips for a while. And then at what point did you make the decision to go all in on the DR?
What happened was, in the beginning, there was an opportunity to open a practice or to take over a practice that was here already. And at that time, Pete and I seized that opportunity and partnered up with somebody else. And that's how it started.
Right.
Over the years, I decided to move here and live here full time. And that's when the partnership changed. And so now it's just me and the other partner.
Right.
But it started that way. And that has grown extensively over the last 13 years to many
13
locations.
years. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Many locations. We have 10 chiropractors here, and we're hiring 3 more coming right now. We're looking for chiropractors all the time, just in case somebody wants to come down here. You don't need a chiropractic license to come here. Just need to be a graduate and of a chiropractic college. So we have right now chiropractors from all over Mexico, France, Canada, the United States. They're just finding us and having a nice life down here. It's a Caribbean island. It's beautiful. It's sunny and it's beaches. I'm half a block from a beach right now.
That's amazing. Yeah. And then, so what does it look like chiropractically in Dominican right now? So you said that you have, how many practices do you have right now?
We have 9 facilities.
Okay.
Some of them, they're not all chiropractic. We have one facility. What's happened over the last 3 years is we expanded to treat veterans from the United States with disabilities. So that a division of Life Hero, which is our parent company, is USADR Veterans Healthcare. So the veterans there's a lot of veterans that live down here, about 27,000 from the US. And many of them have service-connected disabilities. So the government in the United States, the VA, covers treatment for those service-connected disabilities. So they pay for chiropractic, they pay for physical therapy, they pay for psychology, psychiatry, basically anything that is service-connected. So we've expanded to be able to treat the whole person. They get chiropractic. They get chiropractic no matter what. They don't actually have to be service connected to get that. We give them that anyway. But we have a full staff of professionals that speak English, psychologists, psychiatrists, massage people, physical therapy departments, and we're very well equipped through the help of companies in the United States like Hill Tables. We have a lot of Hill equipment. In New York, somebody who's really helped us with a lot of equipment is Harlan, who's been in practice long before I went to school. So these people have stepped up and they get me whatever we need. We ship it here in containers, and the offices are better equipped than my Manhattan Park Avenue office.
So if you're a chiropractor watching, or a new grad, or someone that's in a phase where they're maybe between practices or something like that too. So what is it like as a chiropractor to practice in the DR at your facilities?
Oh, it's great. You've got people that aren't biased against you because you're a chiropractor. You've got medical professionals that also aren't biased against you pretty much. I have many patients that are medical doctors, orthopedists that come in for treatment, for care. I don't like the word treatment, but anyway, they come in. It's a different attitude. You get to be your best. What we tell our doctors is this is the opportunity to be that person that you went to school and dreamt of being. In other words, this is the time to play your A game. We're not going to rush you. Whatever time you need with the patients, we'll make that happen. Whatever equipment you need, we make it happen. I don't tell them what techniques to use. My attitude is, and it always has been, and this comes back from me being a mechanic, is to have a toolbox that had everything I need. Okay? Because you might not use that tool all the time, but when you need it, you know what drawer it's in. And so all the different courses and trainings are the tools that I have in my toolbox. And whether it's a CBP or upper cervical or scoliosis treatments, this makes up my toolbox that I pull from. That's what we teach our doctors. Have a good toolbox so you have what you need when you need it. And so it's about playing your A game. It's no excuses. Play your A game. I have something here I just want to read to you real quick. Every morning I read this book. It's called The Daily Stoic.
Right.
So it's a philosophy book, and every day it has a different date. So today's June 5th, right? And it says, blow your own nose. We cry to God Almighty how we can escape this agony. Fool, don't you have hands? Or could it be God forgot to give you a pair? Sit and pray your nose doesn't run. Or rather, just wipe your nose and stop seeking a scapegoat. And then it explains it. It has that was from Epictetus in, I don't know, like hundreds of years ago, whatever it was. This book is full of that from Seneca. But it says the world is unfair. The game is rigged. So-and-so has it out for you. Maybe these theories are true, but practically speaking, for right here and now, what good are they to you? And to cut down to the bottom, let's see. We have a choice. Do we focus on the ways we have been wronged, or do we use what we've been given and get to work? Will we wait for someone to save us, or will we listen to Marcus Aurelius' empowering call to get active in your own rescue? That's probably the greatest lesson that a new chiropractor or any chiropractor, don't get stuck in obstacles. Work through them, play your A game. Nobody said it was going to be easy. It's going to be a roller coaster. Life's a roller coaster. Relationships are roller coasters. We don't know anything about anything. I think my perspective is, but be persistent. That's one thing Dr. Sid said. Persistence is omnipotent. Just being persistent, showing up, not looking for excuses. That's the answer to being successful.
That personal responsibility, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that have to look in the mirror. We're the ones that really control the direction of where we're supposed to need to be going and so forth. So that's really good. And then, so if someone's watching this or listening to this and they are wondering if they're the type of person, because I think it takes a certain person to get out of their comfort zone and leave the United States, which maybe they've either never have left the United States, or maybe they've just gone on a cruise with their parents and they've stopped at a port in the Bahamas or something too. But people that have that inkling, or maybe a better way of asking this is, some of your best docs that come down there that do really well, do you feel like they are cut from a similar cloth, or where I feel like you and I had this itching to just explore and see what else is out there? Or what are the typical archetypes of the docs that you find that are coming down there and that do really well in that environment?
I think it comes down to there are different kinds of people.
Right.
There are people that are givers and there are people that are takers. The person that's giving their reward is in the giving. It's not to give to get a reward. They've already been rewarded just by being able to give. And that's a type of person that is satisfied with giving without necessarily seeing the return. But I'll tell you what, in first trimester in New York, when I went to school there was an X-ray teacher. He drove a Porsche. He came in, and we're all students, and we know he had a Porsche. He's there in his nice suit. He was in great shape, nice dark hair. And he says, listen, if you're here to make money, you could probably make some money. But if you're here for the purpose of helping people, the money will follow you. You don't have to worry about the money. And that stuck with me from that one day. And I've lived a beautiful life. I'm 67 years old. I have houses, buildings, family, cars, but it wasn't those things that I focused on. I focused on just doing what I do, which is what? Help people.
Right.
The other stuff always followed me. And it wasn't always, but when it wasn't, I just was persistent. I stay on course. That's the big thing. I think is in chiropractic, what I noticed through my years was there's a lot of good opportunities that are brought to our attention. Multi-level marketing companies, different things, right? And they're not bad products. There's businesses, there's the stock market. There's a lot of things that you could focus on, and they're not bad. But back to what my friend had said many years ago, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. My one instruction to my staff here, and we have a lot of staff, is stay in your lane. If you stay in your lane, and one of my friends, Todd Harold in New York, Todd Harold, who I met in school and been friends with all these years, Todd Harold would always say, if you stay on course, even if you're going slow, you're going to eventually hit your target. But if you're deviating here and deviating there on all these great opportunities, you're not going to get there. And that stuck with me too. These sayings, these ideas are all true. That's why they permeate year after year for people to hear them over and over again. I'm not telling you anything that you haven't heard, I'm sure. But I forgot what the question was. But
Oh, yeah, no, that's perfect.
I just went off on a tangent. I went off track. I should stay in my lane. No, go ahead.
No, that's good. And I think it's one of those things that maybe like you guys, like you and I will talk about this a little bit later on too, which is just creating these opportunities for people just to experience what it's like to practice chiropractic outside of the United States in a proven, structured clinic
it's
and stuff like that, and the system stuff like that too. Whenever I was abroad and was helping out some clinics, yeah, you're exactly right in regards to the respect that chiropractic gets. I was only a student at that time and helping, and there's a big team, and they would come up to me for me to sign off on things, and the staff would come up to me and be like, hey, Dr. Tran. I'm like, hey, you can call me Dave, you can call me Tran, you can call me something like that too, but I'm not a chiropractor just yet. I'm not fully graduated. They're like, oh, okay, Dr. Tran. And there's just that utmost respect for chiropractic outside of the United States. Not that we don't get any respect in the United States, but it's just this overall like different feeling around.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's good if you're coming out of school once you settle down somewhere, you're probably going to develop a practice and not be able to move that freely around. Take advantage of that first year, go explore. Maybe you want to practice permanently in another country, but don't even realize it. Take an associateship. It's not about how much they pay you. It's about getting just to see another part of the world and experience. Because you've been in school for all those years. What do you know? You know your hometown, you know your school town. You don't really know much. You get out, explore a little bit. Where would you want your A game to be? I have friends that I went to school with. Their A game was to go to California and to be close to the beach because they like surfing. So create the life that you want. Find the place you want to be that feeds the other aspects of your life. It's like Dr. Sid once told a group of thousands of people. He said, listen, if I guaranteed you that I would pay you $500,000 a year, could you get your life in order and create balance with your family, balance with your exercise, balance with your diet, everything that would need that you could work hard and see that 500 visits a week or whatever it was to make that $500,000 a year? Could you do that? And everybody's, oh yeah, 500,000. Yeah, I could do that. He says, just do it and you'll make that money. You don't need me to give you that money. Do those things and you will create the life that you want. So these things resonate with me. It's all about us.
Right.
We have to create existence that we want. And it's not an easy road, but it's fun.
And then for my last question, and then so if what's something that like you want to be actually, let me do two questions before I go to the last question. So this question, so what do you see in the future for all the different facilities that you are doing and all the different philanthropic stuff that you're doing down in the DR? So it's what's next on the horizon for you guys down there?
Just expansion, help more people, open up more locations. They like us here. They like us here. We're getting accepted by insurance here. We're the only chiropractic company that is. So that opens the door to millions of people.
Right.
Literally millions of people can come to see us now and get covered by their insurance here.
Wow.
And
That's
they
exciting.
just don't know it yet. They just don't know it yet. And I don't know that I want them to know it all at one time.
I totally understand. Okay. And then, so now I'll ask you for my last question. Since we're on the Stoicism and Latin sayings as well, too, one of my favorite sayings it's actually at Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, is right outside the Haunted Mansion. And there's a merchandise store out there. And the name of the store is Memento Mori. Memento Mori meaning that one day you will die. So it's not the most warm and fuzzy Disney type of name of a store.
That's funny.
But it really made an impact on me when I finally was also studying Stoicism and was like walking by this place. I was like, oh wow, that's a really good universal principle. So for you, because that one day we will die, what would you want your legacy, or what would you want to be remembered for?
I guess when you die, a couple of weeks later, nobody's talking about you. Very few people. It's all a memory. I don't care if people talk about me.
Sure.
I think it's right now. If I could get people happier and healthier right now, that's good enough for me. So when I'm dead, I assume I'm not going to know anything. And so in terms of legacy, I guess the legacy is what that is. I guess the legacy is that there are people that are living better lives because of that I had some kind of interaction with them in my life. And that's, I think, pretty good.
Yeah.
Really, I don't need more than that personally.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so if you're watching this and something has inspired you, or you're more curious about the work that Dr. Gary Deutchman is doing down in the Dominican Republic, definitely reach out to him. I've always felt like you were always an open book, and all the different interactions that you had with all the different chiropractors and chiropractic students that came down there was always super wholesome, was always very valuable to them, and they always came away a better person.
Nice.
Definitely reach out to Dr. Deutchman for sure. And then I'll get your contact information and I'll put it into the show notes later on too. Awesome. So thank you so much for doing this, Gary. It was awesome to document everything, and I'm just wishing you so much luck and success and with the expansion down in the Dominican.
And I thank you, and obviously I thank all the people that have been part of this, which is like my partners in New York, Mark Lamantia and Fidelio Sanchez, my partner now, who's making this all happen, and Steve Simonetti, and a lot of people. I can't even remember all the names, but a lot of people were part of where we are right now. And I appreciate you asking to have this podcast with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.